Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 137 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your quarantined host, Tim.
And this is your quarantine host, Brian. And yes, this is our second quarantine episode of Civil Gore. Although, I have to say, when we record, it doesn't feel any different. Except it's weird because I literally been home and in the same chair I've been sitting in, working from home all day. And I realized this is a good chair for podcasting. For, like maybe an hour or two, not a good chair to sit in all week because I was really excited about this chair when we got it a few years ago. Julie had surprised me with it because it was this really cool chair we saw at, I think it was like Staples. And it was one of those ones with like almost like the bungee back to it.
Oh, yeah.
But it somehow destroyed like my lower back now. And I've been like the last 2 days I've had this, I twinge something on it. And to the point of where it's like, I will literally like scream out in pain with this as if I move the wrong way. So, yeah. So the quarantining has got me to be probably also because we're sitting more than anything, and I'm not walking around. So my age is showing in terms of what my body can handle. So much.
Well, that's what I was telling Olivia. I was like, you don't realize like when you're at work, you get up and go to the bathroom, and it's not like 2 feet away. So you end up getting some unintentional exercise regardless. And then when you're working from home, it's like the bathroom's literally like 4 steps from me. So
yeah, and I could roll into the bathroom from where I set up my personal office. But and like at work, I always actually would make, because I saw some tip once. I actually make the effort to go to the downstairs bathroom. So I walk downstairs and go upstairs, get some extra leg work in, So, but now that we're here, it's like I'm like at home. I'm just like, I find myself like rolling around in the chair, partly because this chair is like, the wheels are like super speed. So when I'm in when I'm recording the podcast, I'm in the studio section of our guest room. It's on carpet, but it's on a wood floor out there. So I literally push back from my desk and I go careening into the kitchen. So
that sounds fun.
It is the first couple times, not when I was not ready for it the other day. And Julie just said, "What happened?" Because she just saw me going
zipping by through the kitchen.
Yeah. So.
Well, our employee fitness center is doing something really cool because, of course, they had to close the gym, but the trainers are doing Facebook Live workouts every day at noon for all the employees that are working from home.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
They do these live trainer-led workouts. So I've been doing those, and they've been kicking my butt. I mean, they are not playing around. Wow. And this is all stuff you can do at home. So it's like they do like a lot of cardio and then maybe like with just some simple dumbbell stuff. I did one today that just completely destroyed me. So I'm definitely getting my exercise now because I'm going to try to commit to doing those daily noon workouts because those are really, really helping me a lot. And I felt a lot better today because I didn't feel like I just sat there all day. I broke it up with something like strenuous. So
yeah, I got to do that too. When the weather's nice, Julie and I take a walk around our apartment complex because they've extended it to now like 4 new buildings are being built. So there's a lot now. It's like way opened up. So we take a walk, which probably ends up being probably close to a mile when we do the whole loop at least. But today's been bad. So, and I do get another weird little bit of exercise is when now I go get the mail or a package that we get because our mailroom is kind of small. So if there's someone else in there, that kind of defeats the whole social distancing thing. So I'm like, first I listen, and then as soon as I hear it's clear, I go bolting in there, quickly get the mail and the packages I can get, and then bolt back out so I don't interact with anybody. It's really like, really someone who with OCD like me did not need this attitude at all, really. And and it's like it's amazing my hands still have skin. And I don't look like Parker Decomposing because with the amount of hand washing I've done, it's nuts.
Yeah, we've cut out pretty much all trips to the store unless it's completely necessary. Olivia still has to go into work, unfortunately.
Oh, she does? I thought she worked from home.
No, she's still going into work, but fortunately they're limiting the hours that the public can come. And next week, they're closing it off to the public completely. So she will not be around anybody by next week.
That's good.
Other than the other office staff. And there's only like 2 other people that work with her. And they're like in separate offices. So it's not a big deal.
Oh, but, yeah. So she might as well be social distancing.
Yeah.
Really. It's the same thing. Yeah.
it's not as bad. And then the kids, of course, are staying at home, so they're not going to daycare or anything. So we've managed to adjust pretty well. I mean, the kids get a little bored and stir crazy because they're not in school right now. But we try to always take a walk in the afternoons when Olivia gets home and try to get them outside for a little bit. And I don't know, we're adjusting. It's not as oppressive as it could be because we're trying to make some choices to kind of break things up and try to keep things positive so the kids aren't going crazy.
And can you imagine, like, I mean, just for us adults, I mean, the kids, they always kind of have, like, grew up with this stuff, but do you imagine, like, what it was like if when we were kids and this had happened now, where literally our only source of talking to any of our friends would be having to just call them up on the phone, because you're not supposed to see them, really see people if you can avoid it. They want you to stay at home because you never know who's carrying the virus. But think about this. It's like now we can play video games online. And as Tim was describing today, like we are our group of friends, we downloaded the tabletop simulator off of Steam to get so we can play some board games online. I mean, look at the technology we have now, and the fact that you can stream movies and stuff. You're not just restricted to cable. I mean, as far as like the quarantine goes, we were actually in a, most of us are lucky enough to have something to still communicate. It's not as restricting as it could have been back like 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I try to look on the positive side. Like if there was a time where you're going to be stuck inside, I mean, think of all the technology we have to make your life easier if that's going to happen. So yeah, we are fortunate that we live in a time where we have the technology to be able to do that and to even be able to work from home.
Yeah. I mean, it really is with like thank God technology now is really being used for good right now.
Yeah.
And not something. And actually, I meant to say this when you said Olivia go to work too. Yeah, we should thank all the people that are working out there. I mean, I know you see it on Facebook and whatnot, and people are sharing memes, but really, like all the people that are out there, like especially at the grocery stores. And the not even, we don't even need to mention all the people with the medical field that are just, and even you, Tim, I mean, who, have to, with your part, I know it's not the same, as a doctor per se, but, in your job, what you're doing is indirectly helping a hospital go. And so, I mean, just in all the like little thing, the delivery people that are doing all they can still going in while all of us are, kind of quarantining, we got to thank them.
I've been trying to tip a little extra with delivery folks and takeout folks and stuff, just because, they're not getting the business they normally would.
Yeah. And so I know we mentioned it last week too about supporting your local online businesses and stuff, but also, your local restaurants, if you want to see them, still there after your this is over, they're struggling. So Julie and I, we have so much food that we stocked up on before. So, it's more a little bit about that, why we're not doing as much in terms of outside eating, but we're kind of going to made it a thing. We're going to at least try and get once or twice a week, try and get something delivered in, keep people afloat, we want to keep them helping. I think we said this last week, but, like get the gift cards and then you can visit the places later. But also I was thinking, I saw Groupon is actually kind of promoting that themselves. They're promoting experiences to buy now, and the places will get the money at some point too. So they're kind of like that. That'll help them also. So it's funny how so many places are trying to help out with this.
Yeah. That's always a good idea. Just to keep things kind of running a little bit. It's not going to be back to normal, but at least you're helping where you can. Yeah. Well, let's get to some horror news. Unfortunately, the first piece of news we got is very sad.
Yeah, this was not the need we need. Like 2020. All right, what the hell already? We're not even halfway through, and you're hitting us with this. Come on.
Yeah, this was a big loss for the horror community. Of course, Stuart Gordon passed away. He is best known as directing Reanimator, but also did some fantastic movies like Castle Freak. Just a big titan in the horror movie industry, and very sad to see him when I saw the news this morning that he had passed away.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, these days, every morning pretty much I wake up and you're seeing something bleak with what's going on, and then to see this on top of it, I'm just like, ugh. It's like, I mean, what more to say about? I mean, we could we go through his whole list of stuff, but anyone that's a horror fan knows the impact he had on not just the horror fans and the community, but a lot of the horror actors and actresses that worked with him have you've seen so many things like such an outpouring of kind things and memories that people said. So it's like how important he was to everybody.
Yeah, and what I had no clue. He wrote "Honey, I Shrunk the Kids."
Yeah, I saw that. I was so
crazy?
shocked when I saw that. I said, did I run into another article accidentally? I did not realize that.
That's pretty cool.
That is crazy. And if you think about it, you could easily turn that into a really horror themed movie. If you take out the zaniness of Rick Moranis and
really
replace it, it's funny how you could get like that into total horror. Yeah, and he did one episode. I guess he directed one episode of the TV show. He did.
Yeah.
Of it also, right? Not just the movie, but he did the TV show, right?
Yeah, he did. I didn't even know there was a TV show, but yeah, there were 66 episodes he's credited on IMDb.
Yeah.
So that's really, really neat. All right, Brian. Well, in happier news, let's get to our first chop. All right, we go from sad to completely insane. I know this is not horror, Brian.
Well, this could be considered horror to some.
I guess.
There was an arm got eaten off at one point. So.
Yeah, I had to mention the Netflix documentary Tiger King, which I know has been all the buzz on Facebook and stuff, but I watched it like the day it came out because I'm a sucker for true crime, and I'm a sucker for any kind of Netflix documentary that has anything to do with true crime, and this one just looks so bizarre. Oh my gosh. If you have not seen this,
don't stop to listen to the podcast, but then when you're done with the podcast, go watch it.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's about this guy in Oklahoma named Joe Exotic. He ran a private animal park for big cats. The documentarian apparently was doing a documentary on a reptile industry and kind of stumbled across the phenomenon of big cat owners who in the first few minutes of the documentary you learn are completely insane. And
I was upset to see that Prince Adam and He-Man weren't listed here.
Yeah.
Because
we only had one. You got to have like 150.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. I guess you need a certain number to hit. But
I will not give anything away. This thing has so many twists and turns, and Joe Exotic is such a character. They even said, I think in the first few minutes of the documentary, they said he's not a person. He's like this mythical thing living in bumfuck Oklahoma. Is the way it was put. Sorry for my language, but it is a treat. I enjoyed every minute of this documentary, and in fact I told Brian tonight I went back and started watching it again. That's how much
Julie and I were watching it. We started watching it, and when Tim posted it on Facebook, it's funny. I'm like, oh my God, we are literally watching this as you post this, and I'm like, But yeah, so Julie and I watched it, but we were kind of like a couple episodes. I was kind of like half watching it, but so we want to rewatch the whole thing now to get every little nuance. But I think I saw someone describe it. They said like, I don't know who was it. Maybe you'll remember. Someone posted it where they said it was like, basically if this was a movie, people would say, "Wow, you've got too many twists and turns in this thing to be believable." But that's what you get with this. Everything, there's just like things in here that you're like, you don't even realize you're watching the same documentary at some point. It gets so bizarre.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So go check that out. Again, like I said, it's not horror, but I guess real life horror in a way. There is some elements of it that you guys
there's
enjoy.
Intrigue, there's I did
there's
tease,
everything.
I guess I did one spoiler, I guess, that someone's arm gets ripped off. But other than that, there's a lot more going
That's
on,
definitely the least crazy thing that happened.
Yeah, go figure. When you say like you're watching something, and by the way, someone's arm gets ripped off by a tiger, and that's the least horrific thing that you see in this. So
all right, so Brian, we watched some movies this weekend. One that we both watched was the highly anticipated and highly controversial The Hunt, which came out on this new thing that some studios are doing now, where you can rent what would normally be a theatrical release and rent it for $20 in your home, which I think is a really cool idea, especially during this quarantine with the theaters being closed. And I would have done it for Invisible Man had I not gone and seen it just under the wire right before the theaters closed. I told Olivia when we went and saw Invisible Man, we better go see it this weekend because I think probably theaters are going to close after this. And sure enough, they did. So we snuck it in. But yeah, The Hunt. What did you think, Brian?
So Julie and I actually watched it twice. I mean, I went into, but I know that had all the controversy and everything. And so I was like, and I didn't know what to expect when I actually saw it, like if it was going to be as good. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so much fun. It's so much fun, obviously, that we watched it again the second day because we wanted to make sure we got all of it. It has some great gore. Obviously, for those who've seen it, I'm not going to give anything specific away. But there's a lot, like, I'll tell you the first 10 minutes of this thing, you're like, what? Because so many things happen so fast that you're not expecting. But it is and this is a movie that kind of just keeps moving. Like this thing is moves at a clip. I mean, it's just, I think, under an hour and a half. Maybe 1 minute over, something like that. It's like right around that 1 hour and a half thing. But this thing moves fast. And this is kind of like, I mean, from what you've heard, I mean, you mix like a little bit of Hunger Games in there, mix a little bit of, there was another movie I said it would remind me of. I can't remember right now, but just the performance in this is incredible. Like Betty Gilpin, oh my God, she's like, I mean, she's great in everything she does, especially she was just recently featured in Glow. Yeah, she is so good in this movie. I'm telling you, she is just like you wish there was another like 2 hours of just her and her character in it. And
she's fantastic. You also have Ike Barinholtz, of course, from Mad TV. You got Hilary Swank, Emma Roberts, Sturgill Simpson's even in here. So yeah, you got a lot of cool cameos.
Ethan
and
Suplee is in it.
Yeah.
And he's like the skinnier Ethan Suplee. Now he's when he's slimming down, so
he doesn't.
You might not recognize him.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I agree with you, Brian. I had a blast with this one, and let me tell you, the whole controversy about the political stuff.
Oh God,
don't listen to that.
That's
this thing. It's very campy, but in a good way, and they make fun of both sides equally.
Right.
And it's so caricatured, even when they do make fun of the sides. It's so over the top that the whole controversy about liberals versus conservatives and these guys are hunting these guys and all this, don't listen to it. It's a complete parody of the political system, and I think anybody, unless you're just complete diehard right wing or diehard left wing and have no sense of humor, I think you're going to enjoy this. I didn't see the controversy at all.
No, I did. I was like surprised. Like, I mean, did they cut something out? Like what I said to Julie, I'm like, what do you think was so big of a deal about this? I don't understand. I mean, I've seen way worse. In movies
don't worry
that cause
that.
Controversy. This one was just like, if you can't have fun watching this movie, then don't bother to watch anything, really. I mean, because this was just a really, really fun movie. I mean, and it was just like I said, it was just so well done with it. There was some gore and great performances, and it moves quick. I mean, like, this is like I kind of wish I would have seen it in the theater with a crowd. After I saw it, like I said, we watched it on the home theater, whatever they call it now. That each company has its own name now for it.
Yeah,
it's so funny how fast these companies could come up with like a catchy name for this new service.
Yeah.
I recommend it if you can. I think it's it's like $20 on all the formats right now. It'll probably come to Blu-ray and digital rental. At a normal price, probably relatively soon. But you know what, though? If you think about it, for one person, yes, you're overpaying to rent it in your house. But if it's like for Julie and I, that's $10 a person. If we were going to the theater, we'd be paying more. Plus gas, plus probably a snack, plus,
Oh, yeah, we're going to definitely do Trolls 2 when it comes out for the kids.
Yeah, and I think Sonic comes out.
Just to get in the door for me, Olivia, and 2 kids is $40. That's just to get in the door. That's before you buy your popcorn, your drinks, and everything else. So I don't mind at all paying $20 for a family movie night.
Oh, not and a family for 4? This is like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Especially don't have to worry about if the kids have to go run to the bathroom or something else. And, it's like, I know, like, yes, okay, I am a big proponent about seeing blockbusters and big movies in the theater. I fully support the theatrical format 100%. You know, and the theaters have done everything to make it as the best they can in terms of comfort at home, with most cinemas going to those reclining chairs and stadium seating and fancy snacks and alcohol and all of it. But you know what, though? I think both these things can exist. Like, if, you know, the next theatrical Star Wars movie comes out, if they offered it at home, I'd still go see it in the theater first. But, like, you know, why not start offering at home? Maybe just find a different price point. Like, after like a month, like, kind of put it in that medium range. Like, add another element for the people that don't get to see it in the theater, but don't necessarily want to own it on Blu-ray or don't want a collection of anything, but kind of just price it out. So, like, get that midway point, you know, like maybe after 3 weeks, hey, release it at home for $25 to $30.
Mm-hmm. And there was an article by Jason Blum who said he thought that was what's going to happen after all this, as the window of time is going to shrink between the theatrical release and the home release, even more than it already is. Yeah.
I mean, movies pushed back now. It was funny. I was having this. I think I was talking. Julie and I were talking with it. I was saying, like, you know, I think. You know, I know everyone wants to go rush back to the theater, but once this quarantine opens up, I mean, the theaters most theaters aren't going to be open for another like 2 months, even after it. And she had said, oh, well, why not? And I said, well, mostly because every major movie has been pushed back. So there's nothing new to be released. So no one's going to rush back to go see something now that's available on like Blu-ray or home release right now, you know, or for digital. So it's going to take about probably 3 months before, once this ends, for people to really start going back to the movie theaters, because you want to go see something new first run or something like classic. What I said they should do, though, is movies right now is once it's safe to go back, and even if there's not theatrical releases, maybe movie theaters should really try and get some iconic movies that haven't been in theaters in years to bring back, like Jaws, or maybe like, you know, the original, you know, like Friday the 13th, show that in the theater or something, like, you know, like really cool, like movies that a lot of people maybe never got the opportunity to see in a theater. That might bring people back until the big releases come back.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens and see how long this goes on. But so what else did you see this weekend, Brian?
So I stumbled down to this movie on, I think it was on Amazon Prime. I forgot, or no, I'm sorry, it was a free on Vudu. I forgot how I got linked to this into the thing, but it was somehow I ended up on the IMDb page of the movie Amusement, and it had this clown. I thought it was based on, with the title, I thought it was going to take place in an amusement park. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this one before. I thought I saw the horror theme park movies. It turns out it was not in the theme park at all. The clown was just because of one sequence, and I will tell you this. Show me Poltergeist, show me all these other movies. This may have had one of the more terrifying clown sequences that I've ever seen. It's this movie, not to give it away, obviously, but basically it's kind of almost like there's these three main girls that you eventually, through the course of the movie, find out there is a connection with them, and they are all tormented in different ways. Basically, which will kind of lead up to the end reveal of why they're connected. I will say that it's really was surprisingly watchable. When I first started, I'm like, oh god, what is this thing that I got myself into? But I just couldn't I ended up continuing to watch it, and before I knew it, the movie was over, and I was like, it wasn't so bad. It's one of these ones I never really heard of. The only actress I recognized was Jessica Lucas. She was in Cloverfield. I think she was in the third Big Mama's House. So if you saw her, you'd recognize her. She's been on, definitely has a very familiar face that you recognize. But Cloverfield, she was the girlfriend of the guy that was his brother was going away. But so it was actually pretty good. But I will tell you that the clown sequence in this is definitely one of the more traumatizing clown sequences you'll ever see.
Well, now I'm interested.
So you may want to check this out. It's on Vudu right now. It's free with ads. But still, you don't get and what I like that Vudu does, I will have to say about their free with ads movie, is when you come back from the ad, it goes back about a second and a half. So you really don't miss anything.
Oh, that's cool. That's
the ads.
Good
yeah,
feature.
So I kind of like that. I noticed a lot of there was another I don't know, was it AMC did it once where I was watching a movie on AMC and I feel like it skipped a second rather than give back the second. But that was a good one. And then The Possession was another one Julie had watched.
Now, which possession of out of the 10 movies called The Possession?
Right, I was going to get to that. This one is involved. This one had Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it.
Oh yeah, I've got that. I own this one actually.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty good. I always like that the thing with the obviously with the Dybbuk box. The Dybbuk box has been a lot of lore and a lot of topics of other movies, and even behind the like the real true ghost story things. That was so that intrigued me. So it was funny. Julie just put it on. She's like, "Oh, here's a horror movie. You want to watch this?" I said, "I don't know about this one," because like Tim said, The Possession has been used a million times. So I wasn't sure if I had seen it, and it turns out I hadn't. So we kept that on, and actually proved not bad.
Yeah, it was actually. I thought it was for a possession movie, obviously, but I'm not giving it away due to the title. I thought it was actually pretty good. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I mean, who doesn't love him? He's
right.
Good in
I mean, the fact that he was in it is automatically a sell. So I was like, it definitely intrigued me. And I'll tell you, the young girl that played the one that was possessed was super creepy in this thing. Yeah,
I got this one. I believe I got the Blu-ray from one of those horror subscription boxes that did the Blu-rays.
That's cool that you got.
And so I had no clue what it was, and I didn't watch it for the longest time. And I finally got around when I was doing my Blu-ray backlog. Is when I finally got around to watching it. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a decent possession movie, and of course, by that time, I already knew Jeffrey Dean Morgan from Walking Dead, among other things. So it was even more fun to watch him in it. So yeah, it's decent. It's decent.
Yeah, no, so it's funny. It's like it's the I mean, when you're quarantined, you end up watching a lot of stuff that maybe you wouldn't come across. So I mean, at least it's somewhat of a
a friend of mine linked me to some because we were linking YouTube videos back and forth of music and stuff, and he linked some Slovakian avant-garde black folk metal. So
that's a lot of genres mixed into one there.
And it is interesting, let me tell you. So I've gone down some deep, deep rabbit holes in YouTube during this quarantine.
I was going to say, you can't get much cheap. That's like the thing everyone's doing with the, like my brother did this, where he started posting videos on Instagram about him, where he was like making soup with stuff that he had in the house. And you see people, I had a comedian, Jamie Lee, not Jamie Lee Curtis, Jamie Lee, was doing things where she has a little series called like something like Things Left on the Shelf Kitchen, where she makes so it's like I'm like this is Tim's version of that. He goes down to I can't even remember the name it's just Slovakian death metal. That's what I remember out of what you said.
Slovakian. How he described it to me was Slovakian avant-garde black folk metal.
Wow.
And it was neat. It was neat because it's like there's a lot of like orchestral stuff in it. Like it starts off with like rain sound effects, and then there's some orchestral stuff. And it's really pretty. And then there's like some really good metal guitar. And then there's like the vocals kick in, and it's like the that kind of thing that I'm not really into. And then it would flip back to the orchestra stuff, and then it would flip back to the guitar. It was really, really strange.
Where's the folk part of it?
I don't know. I really couldn't. It's not really my cup of tea because I don't like the like satanic vocals thing. I like heavy metal, but I don't like the like that kind of thing. I just don't like that. But
growling.
Yeah, but I liked all the rest of it around it. The songs were like 13 minutes long. It was kind of it was interesting. I like stuff like that. I already told you I'm a big fan of Sweden, Norway, any of the Nordic countries, Iceland, any of that kind of stuff. I'm a sucker for their music, so I always get intrigued when somebody links me to stuff like that. Oh, so Brian, next up, I want to hear about this because you finished Taking Shape, the Halloween book that you actually got me a copy of, which I have not read yet because I packed it away as a open house surprise or a kind of my housewarming. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Thank you. That's going to be my housewarming present. I'm going to open these boxes and go, oh man, I forgot I had that. And then I'm going to have a good time reading it. It'll be like Christmas.
That's like the best thing about moving, I think. Too.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I can't wait. I intentionally did that because I was like, I'm going to pack these up so I don't read them. It'll be a surprise for me when I get in the new house.
Well, and plus, by the time between this and selling the house and packing and moving it, you're not going to want to do much other than.
True, that's true. Yeah,
but yeah. So I finally finished Taking Shape, and I don't mean finally finished as it was grueling. Finally finished because it's a packed book of over 400 pages, And I know I had mentioned a little bit before, we almost want to reach out to these guys and have them on the show, because I think they'd be a fantastic interview, because the two guys that wrote this did such an amazing job on this book. So I really love, like, documentaries or books and stuff that kind of go through a history of like a thing, like, like the Crystal Lake documentary, and David Weiner's In Search of Darkness, his big horror things. I love like a historical thing with highlights and that. And this is like the book version of that, where it revisits the whole Halloween franchise. And it was, oh my God, it's just so much fun to read the way they do that, because they go through, like I said, I think I've mentioned this before, but basically every movie has its, the description of the movie, original script elements that may not have been used, deleted scenes, controversies. It goes through so much of how, and I'll tell you, you're gonna, like, if you didn't despise the Weinsteins before, you're gonna freaking hate them with a passion after you see what the trouble they caused to this franchise. Yeah, and it just shows, but it also, like, it just shows so much how many people that worked on the movies were such true fans and what their original vision should have been for this movie, and it got turned by studios and different reasons, and it just somehow that sometimes I feel, like I said, there's one guy, I forgot the name, but like I remember he wrote a script and he was this longtime fan, and they just totally butchered his script for basically what he had planned.
Wow.
And but it's really good. And it actually, and in it, one of the things which I'm going to get to is, now that I finished the book, which is, like I said, I cannot recommend this book enough. If you were a Halloween fan, this is the book you've always wanted, literally. And anyway, but one of the things that in there is when we got to the Rob Zombie movies, and, that's always been like a contentious point for fans. There's a lot of polarizing things about it. I mean, I've made my peace with it as basically where I say, okay, it's completely reimagining of it. It's fine. I can separate it from the other films. The second one is still hard. I have trouble forgiving that's the second version of this. The second, Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie 2.
Yeah.
Just because it took just some liberties that are kind of unforgivable with Michael Myers, but we've discussed that. We're not going to go into that. However, after reading about his, the original Halloween and what he did, it basically, there was a line in the book, something like, if you watch it now, if you look back on it, it's not as, it's not as different as you remember, not as bad as you remember, something. So I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen it in a while. Probably the last time I saw it, I believe, was when we covered it for the Slaycation back in season 1. So that's a while now. So I'm like, you know what? This book got me kind of in the mood to see this, and I had seen the other ones more recent. So I'm like, let me watch Rob Zombie's Halloween. And while watching it, while there were some things I appreciated, there were just some things that now that I look at it, and I think what changed this was revisiting Halloween 2018, which I know you can't compare them at some level, because one is literally a continuation of the original storyline, and one is its own reimagining of the original storyline. But what I noticed is, and I still enjoy the original Rob Zombie Halloween at a level, but everything that I see that I think will polarize the fans, and for lack of a better word, what he did wrong, is what Halloween 2018 did right. And it's like I've noticed so many more things that I appreciated now about the new Blumhouse Halloween versus what Rob Zombie did. Like, I was just looking and I'm like, and like some of the simple things, like, okay, so granted, yes, since it's a reimagining of the first one, it's not a true remake. You have to say reimagining, I think, is the key. As long as you have that word, you can I think you can deal with this movie in the way you need to. But if you think about it, Judith Myers is, as far as it was always been, the first kill that Michael does. In Rob Zombies, it's not. It's the third kill. No, fourth, because he kills the guy at school, the stepfather, the boyfriend, and then Judith Myers. So when you think about it, it's like, I know people have said this, but now Michael is not, there's really no, like, it's not so much shocking, because you see what, but we've always said this, Michael is scary because you don't know what propelled him and what drove him. And that was always what, even the regular Halloween sequels, when they tried to change them, did. And that was a big key. And so, and there was, just some other things that like I noticed, like the, that, so when and there was just way too many things that, that humanize him. But I did notice one thing that I don't think I ever caught until this time around, really. Like, I always thought, like, I'm like, and I think it's because I got caught up in the world of that Michael Myers. I'm like, always like, why did he have to kill Danny Trejo's character? I said, that's really like, he's like such a likable character in it. He was good to him. And it seems like, Michael didn't really have any animosity towards Loomis throughout until towards the end. And he was kind of okay with him. It was the one guy he never really showed the anger towards until that one little sequence where he was angry. But I realized you have to kill him because that is what kind of makes Michael now back to being like, okay, he's just going to kill everybody. He's got this rage again. And I didn't catch it until this time. I'm like, hey, you know what? That really was a true necessary kill.
Yeah.
And then just other, some other just weird things, about the, that were in the movie. But now then going back to then watching, Blumhouse's 2018 version of Halloween, which was obviously a different, like, again, this is now a continuation, but, their whole thing was they wanted to capture what everyone loved about the original. And just so many things I saw in this that did that. I mean, it wasn't a perfect film. I mean, there's a lot of people had some little criticisms for it, but just the feeling that it captured, especially in some of the opening of that movie, I don't know. It just, to me, that was the, I don't know. I just loved the way that whole franchise took it. And, of course, we're super excited because we're getting 2 more of those. But yeah, so it was interesting. Basically, the whole point of this thing was just to say, like, it's funny how that by reading that book, it kind of got me into rewatching, 2 very opposite ends of the franchise of Halloween, because I've seen the others so many times. So the Rob Zombie and obviously the 2018 one are the least that I've seen. I mean, also because they were the most recent ones, but also because just, you've watched the other ones repeatedly because they're part of the same storyline. So yeah, so it's interesting to revisit. You might want to, once you read the book, Tim, I wonder if you seem to want to have the same feeling I had, like want to go back and kind of revisit some of the ones that you may not have.
Yeah, I think it definitely will, because that's a lot of times that's the reason people disagree with movie critics. And they say, well, how could a critic, like this movie, or how could he trash this movie? But you're not coming at the movie from the same background as they are. You don't have the same knowledge. And I don't care who you are. If you're not a movie critic watching, 2 or 3 films a day for your job, you don't have the breadth of film knowledge that these people do. That doesn't necessarily mean they're always right. Of course it doesn't.
Because they don't like horror. I mean, that's...
Yeah, every review is subjective, but it does mean that a lot of times they're coming at it from an angle where more stuff that could give you either an appreciation for what's being done or cause you to not appreciate what's being done because you've seen it done better elsewhere. Right. And I found that when I was going through the Halloween box set, just listening to the commentaries made me appreciate the movies that much more when I rewatched them. Especially Halloween 3. I was never a fan of Halloween 3. Even after the first time I revisited it for the box set, I didn't care for it. And it was only after I watched the commentary, I actually watched 2 commentaries on it. And by the end of the second commentary, I absolutely loved the movie. So your mind can change based on your knowledge of that you've gained over either listening to audio commentaries or reading something in a book. So yeah, I can definitely see how that would allow you to kind of go back or make you want to go back and see those movies again under a new perspective. I mean, I've even just watching this Camp Crystal Lake documentary, that big long one on Friday the 13th, has made me want to go back and see the whole Friday the 13th series again. In fact, I bought it on Vudu just the other day. And you saw that new one's coming out, the new 12-disc set. Yeah, the new now 12. You have to buy that one right away. Yeah, I'll definitely be getting that one.
You can't miss that one. And it's also, but the best part is it has the first ever Blu-ray release of the unrated Jason Goes to Hell. Yeah. Which I have seen. I think I had it on VHS. And
that's going to be amazing.
I think regular DVD. So
yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I cannot wait till you read this book though, because you are gonna love this book. Not just because I bought it for you, but you will you will just love this book. And it's funny too. You said about the critics. Every chapter, which each main chapter is of course based off each movie. each chapter ends with like a myriad of reviews of the movie from critics. And it's fun to see some of the ones, like, what they do. And, like, some of them are so harsh. And some of them are like you said, you're like, what are you talking about? How could you say that? But then, you got to realize they've seen this, they've seen that, so it's interesting. But yeah, so definitely, if you have not bought this book and you're a Halloween fan, there's no excuse not to do it. You guys are all sitting quarantined. This is the perfect read, literally.
Yeah.
So, taking shape.
Finally, on the first chop, we have Cursed Films, which is a new upcoming Shudder documentary series. And Brian, you got to check out the first episode.
Yeah, so they did the so basically what this is, I think we've mentioned this on a previous show. What this is basically, like Tim said, it's a Shudder documentary. It's going to be, I think it's in 3 parts, where they have each part has 2 episodes or 2 movies featured in it, and it's basically a little behind, like kind of, they pick a movie that was notoriously either cursed or kind of stuff behind it. And like the first one we watched was Poltergeist, and everybody's heard tons of stories on that, and it was well done. There was some more into it that I didn't realize. Especially they did a bunch of stuff with Poltergeist 3. They go into not just the movie but the franchise, which was a little bit. So there was a couple little things in there. I don't want to give it away. I want you to be able to enjoy it, but they do some cool things with. They tell you a bunch of stuff about 2 and 3 also that may kind of lead to the whole reason why it may have been cursed and stuff. But some of the stories you may have heard, but still definitely don't skip this one because you think you've heard it all, because you haven't. I guarantee you there's some stuff in there that I didn't know about that they're new. And then The Omen, this one I just assumed it was cursed based on the title, and based on what the topic is of it. But there are some creepy stories in this one. I actually like this one even better than the Poltergeist one. The one I am waiting for more than anything, though, I can't wait for, is the Twilight Zone one, though, because obviously that has the famous, unfortunately, passing of Vic Morrow.
Yeah, it was so horrific.
It was so but I would always always fascinated me that I want to know more, because it's hard to find all the true details of what happened, other than that it was an accident. So I really want to see what else might have led to things on the set of that. So but yeah, and I think The Crow is one. I think we listed them all the last time, but Shudder was enough to send us a screener. I think it comes out, so it's in April. We'll post it again. We'll post it on our social media. But yeah, the first episode comes out soon. I think it's when you're listening to this, it might be this week actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah. But
just look it up on Shudder. It already has the placeholder for it. You can get that. And by the way, just another nod to Shudder. By the way, if you haven't saw, we've shared it a bunch of times, but they're, for those who don't have Shudder, I can't imagine you listening to this podcast and don't have Shudder. But they're doing but tell your friends if you have it. They're doing a 30-day free trial, and right now Shudder's got so many good things on it. And each week they're adding some great things, including the movie that we're going to discuss tonight, Satanic Panic. So yeah, let your horror friends know that don't have Shudder yet, that now's the time to at least let them try it out with a 30-day free trial.
Yeah. And I've heard from people that have tried it recently and were like, oh my God, where's this been all my life, kind of thing. So,
yeah. Have you not listened to our podcast? Have you not listened to our praises for 4 years?
So, yeah. All right, well, let's get to our main feature. We are covering Satanic Panic from last year, directed by Chelsea Stardust. Like we said, this is available on Shudder right now if you want to see it.
It's a Fangoria movie, too.
Yeah, Fangoria, what do they call it? I don't know, produced or sponsored.
They say presents.
Presents.
So, yeah.
I don't know what exactly that means, but it's got the Fangoria stamp of approval, yes. I guess. Starring Rebecca, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Romaine?
Yeah.
Okay, like the lettuce. Okay.
Like the lettuce, yeah.
All right, Rebecca Romaine as Danica Ross, Arden Mirren as Gypsy Numier, Haley Griffith as Samantha Sam Kraft, Ruby Modine as Judy Ross, AJ Modine as Duncan Havermeyer, Jordan Ladd as Kim Larson, Jeff Daniel Phillips as Steve Larson, the great Jerry O'Connell as Samuel Ross, Hannah Stocking as Kristen Larson, and Whitney Moore as Michelle Larson. Synopsis: a pizza delivery girl at the end of her financial rope has to fight for her life and her tips when her last order of the night turns out to be high society Satanist in need of a virgin sacrifice. So I was immediately intrigued by this movie from the trailer, which was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Like a great mix of horror and comedy, and it did not disappoint, Brian. I really, really had a good time with this one. It's one of those movies that is a little bonkers and that you have no idea from moment to moment what exactly is going to happen. There's a lot of great little twists and turns in here that are just unexpected stuff, and you just never know which direction it's going to fly in. And I thought that was probably the most fun thing about this movie, is that it just never seemed to settle into like a formulaic pattern where I exactly knew what was going to come next.
Yeah, no, and Chelsea Stardust, who directed this, does such an amazing job of just like kind of keeping you like on your toes and just like shocking you at every each scene is like you're like, what is going on? I found myself literally like in my head going, what the heck is going on?
Yeah,
and loving every second. It's like it was bonkers in the best way possible. And that when you could say that about a movie, to me, that's like there's nothing better that you want. I mean, it's like it had. I mean, think about it. It had great gore in it. I mean, the gore was like nuts. It had some classic like one-liners. Like I think Ruby Modine had most of them, but
yeah.
And but a lot of people had like some great like people that that even though if you maybe not they're not a big starring role in this movie, you see them and and you're like, oh, I know them. So it's just packed with so much fun. Like right from the get-go, it has like you're just like, okay, where is this going? And what's so great is too, as I think, I mean, I haven't seen her in anything before this. But Haley Griffith, I'm like on the bandwagon now, or fanwagon, should I say, right?
Yeah.
She was awesome. She's like, I don't think they could have got a better person to play that role.
Yeah, she was really good. And she starts out, she gets a brand new pizza delivery job, and she's like a basic young person just trying to scrape by, and the pizza delivery job is just terrible. And she ends up taking this job that nobody really wants because it's kind of out of the delivery zone to this very wealthy manor. And she's been warned that one of the guys tells her a story of what happened the last time he took pizza there. So anyway, she gets stiffs for the tip, and she's so frustrated and down and out at this point that she decides to kind of go in there and demand she get her tip back. And that's where all this starts, because she doesn't realize, of course, is that these wealthy people are a bunch of Satanists who are trying to summon a demon, and she just happens to be a virgin, as they find out. So, and then that's where all this ensues. And she just does such a great job of portraying that kind of like every girl type role, and I just thought she was just fantastic.
Yeah, because she has like that, and she does the great like transition from like that cute girl next door to like badass, and I and it was great because she's just like I said, I mean, and Ruby Modine too, like is the perfect like counterpart to her, like when they start off, and it's like when they kind of like, I mean, not to spoil too much, but when they kind of like sort of team up, it's like that, like the movie just gets into another gear, I think, because it's like it's just like, it really is like, from the trailer, you think it like, and we've kind of been saying how it's all bonk, but it really has such a good like story to it going on. It's like you really like get invested into the whole story to see what happens. It's not just like you could have crazy for crazy's sake, but you could also have crazy but with a plot going on. And I think she does a great, Chelsea Stardust does a great job of getting a plot move along while still going all bonkers and crazy without taking it out of either one.
Yeah, we mentioned The Hunt is a very snappy, fast-paced movie. This one is definitely the same way. There's hardly any downtime to this movie. I mean, if there's any downtime at all, it might be in the beginning where they're just kind of doing a little bit of setup of her character. But after that, it's just kind of just insane. And it's no doubt that this story is just insane because the screenplay was by Grady Hendrix. Now, Grady Hendrix, if you're a horror fan, you may know best from his writing novels. He did, of course, he did Paperbacks from Hell, which was a nonfiction. That was his, which was a fantastic book, by the way. But it's a nonfiction book about the old pulp paperbacks, horror paperbacks, and some of the just crazy plots in those, and the fantastic covers. And if you haven't seen that book, definitely pick that one up. That's a fantastic book. But he's also done some crazy novels as well. He did. I'm trying to think of the ones let me look at the list of he's done, because I've read at least Yeah, I read Horror Store. Horror Store was kind of a making fun of IKEA, and in that novel, some friends kind of get trapped in this IKEA, which is basically a supernatural IKEA, and it's a parody.
Oh, I think Cone sent me that today.
Yeah.
A link to that book.
Yeah, it's on sale actually. Yeah, it came up on my book bargains today. I think it's on sale for $2. You should.
On the Kindle. That's exactly what he sent me.
Yeah,
that's funny. And I thought the most horrible thing of IKEA is their instructions, but apparently not.
No, that's fantastic. But it's just like this movie. It is insane. You have from one chapter to the next, you don't know what in the world is going on. So his books are like that. Now, that's the only one of his I've read. The one I really want to read is My Best Friend's Exorcism, because that one got a lot of buzz when that one came out in 2016. And then he's got a new one coming out this year that I really want to read called The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. So he's doing a vampire novel. But yeah, he's just got such an imagination, and his plots are just so out there and crazy that it was no surprise when I saw that he was attached to the screenplay that this movie was going to be just a roller coaster ride, literally. Oh
wow, yeah, that sounds like he obviously, you could see where this movie got its some of its zaniness from, I guess. Then
yeah,
which is great. But this one is, and you know what's even good about this? Well, without giving a detail, because I don't want to obviously spoil the film. Even in like there's a sequence in every horror movie. There's always that kind of sequence where there's a little bit of a backstory with one of the characters. Even the way they do the main character's backstory is done in such a way that it moves quick and is as crazy as the pace of the rest of the film. And you know the scene I'm talking about, right, Tim, where she's kind of telling her story to Modine while something's going on, and which I don't want to give away because it's obviously it's a plot point, but it's pretty funny because I'm like, wow, she just did a full-on exposition in the middle of that craziness, and you didn't lose the craziness, and you still got everything that needed to come across. So yeah, this could not have been an easy movie to direct on many levels. But Chelsea Stardust, she knocked it out of the park, I'll tell you.
Yeah, like we say that all the time about good writing, and good writing, you shouldn't have to preach to your audience, and you shouldn't have to bore them with long exposition. You should be able to give the audience what they need to know, either in the dialogue or in the action of the movie, and have it kind of seamlessly seep into the audience's mind without them really realizing that you're basically telling them flat out. So I love when I see writers kind of sneak in information, which any good writer does. If you watch a lot of TV and movies, any good writer will do this without basically having somebody stand up there and go, I was born here, and I did this, and I did that, and I did that. I mean, that's boring for the audience, and it sounds fake because nobody in real life does that. Yeah. So I always love it when you see backstories develop through dialogue and incidents and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just good screenwriting there.
Yeah, no, this was overall. I mean, this is definitely a movie that I was on my radar, and I didn't get to see it in the theater, and I was planning to buy it on Blu-ray, but I forgot what happened. Like I was going to order it, and I never got to order it. Now I'm going to make sure I order it, even though it just obviously it's free on Shudder, but I still want this in my collection because it's definitely been one of my favorites of the last few years. So this one, it was like I was glad that like it lived up to my expectations of, and you know what it did, is one of those, I love when a movie's trailer is so good, and it's it gives you this excitement for the movie, and then the movie truly delivers. Because how many times have you seen a trailer that showed every good part, and then the movie's like, well, okay. Well, yeah. I saw that all in the theater. I saw it all in the trailer, kind of thing, and it's like, well, now, when they took the best parts, so now that, but this, like, even though it had such great parts in the trailer that, like, kind of whet your appetite for this, the movie still delivered on every level.
Yeah, I think it was actually the opposite, because I thought from the trailer, even though I really enjoyed the trailer, I thought it was going to be a much more straightforward, mainstream type of horror comedy. And then when I actually saw
the movie, did hold back.
Yeah, they actually held back, I think, because when you actually see the movie, you realize how crazy it actually is. I mean, they could have gone a lot crazier in the trailer, but they kind of held back and made it look more like a typical fun horror movie. It didn't look like a horror comedy. It didn't look like it was going to be anything like mind-blowing, but I was definitely pleasantly surprised at how twisty and turny this one is. I think you guys are really, really going to like it.
Yes, this definitely will get it. Or Tim and Brian's high recommend, the highest recommend.
Let's go through some of the trivia here, because we didn't want to give too much of the plot. I'm not even going to go try to explain the plot, because you guys need to see this. It's too much fun.
I think your description of the synopsis was great.
Yeah. So the chant that I'm going to try to do this without spoilers, but there's Satanists involved, so this is not a spoiler. But the chant that the Covenant is using when attempting to do something is the Charm of Making from John Boorman's Excalibur, 1981. That's a great movie.
Yeah. Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah, I'll let you take the next one, Brian.
Yeah, so this one's kind of funny. So Walmart altered the slipcover of the Blu-ray release of this film. They shortened the title to just Panic. However, the actual box art underneath retains the actual title. So I don't even know what that's about.
I actually remember seeing this in Walmart, yeah. Because I was looking at it, and I was like, Panic? What is that? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I know what that is. They had, Walmart has a history of doing stuff like kind of strange stuff like that. Yeah. The opening scene, when you guys watch the opening scene, keep this in the back of your mind. It is a reference to the opening of John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah, you totally get that too.
Yeah,
it's like when you see it, you're like, oh my god. And even if you don't if it's funny, if you watch it and you don't realize it, what it's reminding you of, you'll just say, this is very familiar. It reminds me of something. And then when you find that the trivia, you're like, oh, duh.
Yeah,
of course.
That's what happened to me. I didn't catch it on the first walkthrough. In my mind, I was thinking like typical slasher type thing. But when I saw the trivia, I was like, oh, of course it was Halloween. Of course.
Yeah, because it's so well done. And so this one, just another little fact, was filmed on location in Dallas, Texas, over the course of only 18 days.
Wow,
that's impressive when you see the scale that some of this movie gets to.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't look low budget or cheap by any means.
No, but I mean that whole scene at the finale, there's a lot of people involved, and that alone, I mean some of those sequences, I mean that just shows that was done like really expertly, and like on they did not waste much, and they just did that movie and boom.
Yeah. And then finally here, Sam's red Converse shoes are a reference to Dorothy Gale's ruby slippers in Wizard of Oz. That's pretty cool.
That kind of makes a little sense if you when you see the movie and you see the character. I get it's actually a good, smart reference to throw in there.
All right, so Brian, your beer pairing this week is a little on the nose, but I'll forgive you.
Yeah, it's called Satanic Panic. It's by a brewery called Cervisium out of Oslo, Norway. So it's not really. I know I try and stick to ones we can get today, but how could I pass up the beer that shared the exact name of the movie? And especially when you hear the description is what kind of even made me decide that I don't care, this is the right one. So it says it's 10% ABV. It's an imperial stout with oats, wheat, molasses, lactose, vanilla beans, cocoa, and espresso from Jacobson and Zwart. I don't know what that is. I like to say Zwart. But then here it says a totally over the top imperial stout, and just like this movie is, it's totally over the top and amazing, just like this stout sounds, actually.
Yeah, I would say this sounds like you're drinking a dessert, and this movie is sort of like a dessert for horror fans.
It is.
It's eye candy, sweet treat, all wrapped up in one, because it's just a lot of fun. All right, so our triple threat for last week, I don't know if we got any guesses on this one, Brian. This is a fictional character.
And I'm surprised, because I thought this would be one that a lot of people would guess.
I don't know. I guess it could go. This one I felt could kind of go either way, either easy or very difficult. But we'll go through the clues. Clue number 1: while I am a major character, my survival, while probable, is still a bit ambiguous. We were talking, of course, of Stranger Things' Chief Jim Hopper. He was seemingly killed in the season finale of Stranger Things Season 3. However, a post-credit scene and Season 4 trailer teased his probable survival.
And also, I think because the fact that how do you take his character out?
Yeah, really.
He's too good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was pretty much a no-brainer. I wonder if they're going to pull the usual thing where he's not going to remember anybody. That's why I said probable survival.
Yeah, amnesia.
You know how they do that? Yeah. We're like, who are you? Kind of thing.
Oh, man.
But, now who knows when we're going to get Stranger Things Season 4, unfortunately, because with, like, everything, it's getting pushed back. But we're getting it, just don't know when.
Clue number 2: while I tragically lost my daughter at a young age, I had a second chance at fatherhood to an adopted daughter. So Jim's daughter Sarah tragically passed away from cancer at the age of 7, but he later adopted 11 and got his second chance at fatherhood. And then this was the most interesting clue. Clue number 3, the actor that played me is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe along with the DC Cinematic Universe. David Harbour, who plays Hopper, stars in Black Widow as Alexei Shostakov, a.k.a. Red Guardian, and Dexter Tolliver in Suicide Squad. Bonus note, he also played Hellboy in the most recent adaptation of the Dark Horse comics series.
So, yes, he's all over the place.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
He's, by the way, one of my favorite actors in the world.
So, Brian, have you seen his thing on Netflix he did called Frankenstein's Monsters Monster Frankenstein?
No.
So, it's only 32 minutes. You should watch it. It's so bizarre. It is basically him doing a kind of a documentary about his father or grandfather, I can't remember, who did some kind of stage version. He was a theatrical actor who did a stage version of Frankenstein called Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein.
Oh
and
God.
it is a complete parody of the stage and over theatrical actors and bad stage productions. And it is just completely bonkers and hilarious. So if you're not a fan of David Harbour before you watch that, I think you definitely will be after you watch it. So definitely go check that out on Netflix. It's such a weird little oddity that I highly recommend. All right, so our triple threat this week, we are looking for an actor or actress. So here we go. Clue number 1. My most famous role was taking on one of the most famous female characters in horror history. Clue number 2. I almost had a leading role in 2 other remakes of classic 80s horror franchises. Clue number 3. While also being a musician, I once also had a role playing a well-known heavy metal musician.
This one might be tricky for some.
Could be. I think clue number 1's a big one.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. So you can kind of narrow it down from there. I think that's where you'd start for sure on clue 1. Usually we don't give clue 1 is not usually the starting point, even though it's number 1. But yeah, so that one's this one I think I would say just because of its little bit obscurity, I'd say like maybe give it a 7.5 out of 10 difficulty. Yeah. But I think it's gettable. Yeah. I definitely think it's gettable.
All right, Brian. Well, let's get to our Zamando for this week.
Yes. So I have to say, I was scrolling through the Zamando, but there's one that, I mean, it's almost like too timely, so I'm not going to use it. But I will just throw it out there as the thought, but this is not the one we're going to use, mind you.
Okay.
Listen to this one that I pulled up. It says, would you rather have your country engage in a policy of isolationism or a policy of overzealous world protectionism?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
How creepy is that? I don't even want to go discuss it because I think we'd be on this for 12 hours. So, let me see. Oh my God. And the next one, literally, on the back of the other page, just says, one which says, would you rather be separated from your family, parents, siblings, children, never see them again, or live with them for the rest of your life in a 2-bedroom house?
Oh my God, again, that's way too close to home right now.
Yeah. So, because this one kind of affects you more than it would me.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather run 1 mile with a cracked shin bone or do 50 sit-ups on a hard floor with a cracked tailbone?
Ooh, I've almost done both of these.
I feel like today, if I did a sit-up, that's what I'd feel like with the way my back
I've almost done both of these. Not literally, but I have run in being injured with my leg, and I have done sit-ups being injured. I did a terrible thing one time. It was when I was doing a lot of my big Spartan workouts, and we were doing sit-ups, and I started doing sit-ups out on the deck, but I didn't have a mat. And I was like, I'm just going to power through it. I'm going to do 50 sit-ups, so I'm going to just power through it. So I did them. What I didn't realize is the whole time I was just like shredding my backbone, like literally shredding it against the deck because I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel it because I was, in the middle of exercising and stuff.
Yeah, the adrenaline
and everything. I didn't really notice it. And let me tell you, it took like weeks for that to heal up. It was almost like a road rash all over my lower back where I had done that. So I kind of can feel like the 50 sit-ups thing would be tough. I'm going to surprise you here. I would actually do and I don't know because I've never broken my shin bone. Honestly, this may not even be possible. I feel like I would choose the running because I feel like you can compensate by not putting a lot of weight on that leg. But I don't think there's any way you're going to avoid that tailbone when you're doing sit-ups. I think you're going to be crushing that thing every single time.
Yeah, and I actually that's the one I would pick too, because I don't think like doing the sit-ups, like I just know like because okay, here's the thing too, because like if you do the sit-ups and you're trying to, and the pain starts kicking in with that cracked tailbone, you're going to start doing it a different way, and then next thing you know, you're going to start putting so much pain on your back and your side and your pelvic muscle, everything else. You're going to get so many damn injuries as a result of that, along with the one that you're already in probably a super amount of pain already. But the run 1 mile, is I figure you can just, yes, it would hurt if you clomp down on it, but you can kind of run and drag the foot a little bit and kind of just like you said, you can compensate much easier on that. And you can put sure, you may end up, hurting your knee a little bit, but as long as you do it carefully, I think there's a way to get through that 1 mile one with the cracked shin bone.
Hell, you could hop it for a mile.
Yeah,
eventually it'd be slow, but you'd definitely get there eventually.
Yeah, you can definitely find a way. I think the other way, there's just no way to avoid it without intense pain and then other intense pain.
Yeah, so that was I like that one because of the workout aspect. We'd been talking about that today.
Yeah. So the little facts they give you, it says, while visiting Venezuela in 1958, Vice President Richard Nixon was spit upon by a protester. Secret Service agents quickly nabbed the perpetrator and held him while Nixon kicked him in the shins. Nixon later admitted in his book, Six Crisis, that nothing I did all day made me feel better.
That's awesome.
And then this says great runners, but it really means Tim. It says great runners do the mile in 4 minutes or 240 seconds. We know Tim can do it.
That's
in 3 minutes and 50
insane.
seconds.
4 minutes, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Tim, I thought you told me you could do it in 3 minutes. What's going on?
Oh my God! No, I'm the slowest runner. I'm what they call a Clydesdale, which I don't know if I've mentioned that before. And that's not That's not even a joke. That's an actual class of runner. I found out.
Really?
Yeah, it's an actual thing. Because I remember the first time I went to get fitted for running shoes, because I wear 13s, so I'm fairly big feet. And I went to get fitted, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're a Clydesdale," because he makes you run on the treadmill. And I was like, kind of insulted, like, "Excuse me?" Like,
what are you trying to say?
Yeah, because I'm thinking like you're thinking clomp, clomp, clomp. And then I found out later that that's an actual class of runners. If you're over a certain weight or a certain height or something. I can't remember what the actual physical criteria is. In other words, it means you're a big runner. You're not a big runner, but you're a physically big runner in terms of you don't have like the lithe gazelle-like frame that really sprint like runners have. So yeah, you're a Clydesdale. So I'm in the Clydesdale. And that's true. I mean, when I run, it's like a bull coming up behind you. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. I have to be careful in races that I'm not like right behind people because I don't realize how loud I am. And it scares the crap out of them because I sound like
you make me want to buy you shoes that make even louder sounds.
Yeah, I sound like Frankenstein coming up on top of you. So I have to stay away from people. I have to social distance during my races.
Yeah, see, I'm definitely more like the Rudy the Rabbit, from Meatballs. Like I can run fast and I can dodge and duck and kind of get through that way. So like if I was ever like being chased through the woods by somebody, I'd probably be fine because I can do all those like maneuvers because my shortness helps me.
Oh yeah.
And my agility, but but long distance, forget it. I literally have to make all my moves like in the first 2 to 3 minutes because then I just run out of stamina by the end.
I've done pretty good. I devoted this year because I had taken the last half of the year kind of not doing my cardio right last year. So I had really concentrated this year on cardio and decided to really focus on running 3 times a week religiously, at least 3 times a week. And I have done that. I've kept that up since January. So I'm to the point now where I can do the 5K 3 mile distance without a whole lot of pain. I don't think I'll ever be like a marathon runner or somebody that just runs. I don't know if I'll even be a 10K runner. I'm going to try. That's my next training course is to do the 10K after I finish this 5K one. But man, I don't think I'm built for it. I know they say that shouldn't matter. If you train enough, you can run anything. And I'm sure you can. But I don't know if I want to. I think my frame, I feel like I'm good for 3 mile run. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm getting in shape. And then anything after that, I don't know. I'm just not interested in it. So I'm gonna go for the 10K training just for fun. See if I can do it.
And we will cheer Tim on.
Yeah. I don't know, just something. Yeah, something. You have to have goals, otherwise you just kind of end up plateauing, and you're not really gaining any benefit. So you kind of have to keep pushing yourself. So 10K is going to be my next project.
And just in case you're wondering, great sit-uppers, do 1 per second, but that's pretty obvious, I would think. 1 per second. That's about when I could do, like back in my heyday, when we did like the physical fitness tests for for school when they did it. Like that was a big thing for me. I could do that really well. And those what do you I forgot the sprints one where you would run, grab a block, run back, then run back, grab another block.
Oh, it's like sort of like the relay type thing.
Yeah, like that. Like I was really good at that. And I was also they did the agility test where I don't know if your school did this, but where you'd line up on a thing and you have to like kind of sidestep to one line and go back to the other one. But you do 2 side steps because you'd be going back to the center and then over to the side, and you'd be back and forth, and you had to do it in like 10 seconds, how many you could get to. And I remember I was always tied for the highest amount. Like that
nice.
In our group. Yeah, I had like really weird set of skills that really will probably only help me if I'm being chased in a horror movie. But other than that, so I should probably tell our buddies Kim and Kat, because that's like a good Sammy skill that they could practice,
Yeah.
along with their survivor skills. They do need a little bit, possibly some cool like physical tip like that to get out of it.
That's what brought up the whole running thing again. The 4-minute mile. I am not fast at all, and I don't think I'll ever be fast. The fastest I can run, like if I full out sprint, I can hit 8 minutes, 8-minute mile. But that's full out sprint. I can't sustain that for very long at all. If I'm just doing my regular run, I'm usually averaging between 11 and 12-minute mile. So I'm not fast.
See, if I had 1 mile to go, I could probably do it. I mean, I don't know what time. I haven't checked, but I could probably do it relatively fast, but that would be it. Like I'd have no stamina. Like if it was anything longer than a mile, forget it. Like that's it. Because I remember I think it was I don't remember what the charity was, but some kind of charity for something that they used to do. My company used to do it. I think it might have been one of those I know, I can't remember what it ended up being. That's right. I did the breast cancer walk, but I did something else. It was another run that my old company used to do. And so I remember one year I'm like, I am going to be determined this year, like that I will not stop. I think it was like ended up being a 2.5 mile thing or something like that, whatever.
Which is almost a 5K. 5K is
so I think it might have been a 5K then, but I think they went they did it and they said what it was in miles because I'd asked. I'm like, what is it in miles? But I made a goal to myself. I said, this time, like the time before I did it, I would run and walk and run, walk. I said, this time I will not stop running. Even if I go to the slowest jog possible, I am going to run. And I was doing it, and I was fine. And then right as I got to the end, I decided I was going to sprint the last, like whatever, 1,000 feet or something. So I was like, because I saw people running across the line. I'm like, I see the line. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. And I like bolted at full speed. But since I was so tired, as I crossed the finish line, I just totally did one of those lose your balance things and overran and like flopped right onto the ground, scraped my whole arm up.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, great, I'm gonna end up on YouTube. People are gonna be like, look at Klutzy Runner finishes 5K. But so far, I literally, no joke, I checked like I kept Googling things like that for like a month after to make sure I didn't end up on it. So far, I did not see it. If anyone saw it, let me know. But
I've done one 5K under. They say you should be able to finish a 5K in 30 minutes. I've done one under 30 minutes, and that was 29 minutes 50 seconds, literally just under the buzzer. So I've only done it once in my life. I don't really care to try to do it again. I am fine being a slow runner. If Jason's after me, I think I could, I don't know, maybe I could still outrun Jason. Anything else?
Well, Jason, he trudges though. He walks most of the time. He doesn't run. He only depends what movie you're in.
I mean, I could probably get 3 miles from Jason pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, but then again, if he uses that warp skill, that
if he has a warp skill, I'm screwed.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed.
All right, guys. Well, we will get out of here. Tip your local pizza delivery driver because she may be trying to avoid getting sacrificed to Satanist.
Yes, yeah, you don't want to, especially if they're as cool as Haley Griffith, because she's awesome.
That's right.
And you never know, you know, because then she could help out her buddy Ruby Modi.
Yep, that's right. All right, guys. We'll see you later.